Welcome everyone to Spring Forward 2022. We are thrilled and excited to have you joining us today and wanted to take a moment as we all come in and collect together to just breathe. I don't know if you're finding there are so many things pulling at your attention, wanting to have you focus elsewhere, but being here. That can happen. We can be here in body, we can be here physically, but sometimes our mind can be elsewhere, or we're kind of secretly working on a to-do list or things like that. So I want to invite everyone to connect in. Let's just take a breath. Welcome. We're thrilled to invite you to join us for the Spring Forward 2022, where we are coming together to help you grow those roots deeply, build those wings, and blossom and bloom beautifully in 2022 and beyond. We have an amazing lineup of experts that have come together. They have been called to come together and weave their wisdom, their insight, and their advice and expertise into our summit today. So I know you're in for a great treat. I'm Rebecca Hall-Grider. I'm the host, and I am just thrilled and excited to have all of you joining us today. And just a couple of things, housekeeping items, so to speak, so everyone can just relax and be present. We are recording, so there will be a replay available. So if there's any piece that you miss, or you want to go back and hear that tip or that information again, you'll be able to do that. Sometimes it takes listening to things and experiencing them a couple times to really take in all that is there for you. So know that we're doing that, and we'll send out the replay to everybody who signed up for the summit. And we also post and share it on social media. So that is available, and you can relax. Don't feel pressured to capture everything in notes. But I do encourage you to take notes. There's something about writing when you hear something that helps you take it in on a deeper level. It helps you hear it and process it on a cellular level. So I encourage you to take notes, create that space for you. And for those of you who are visual, I don't know if anyone in our viewing audience is visual, but I know I am. So there's a tool I like to share at our live events. I'm going to give you a quick example, and I promise it's a simple tool that you can draw on your own piece of paper. So if we can see, it's a flower. There's a center, I don't know if I'm an angle right there, center circle. And then there's 5 petals that you can see around the center. Also really special about this, it has a, well, you can't quite see with my background there, but it has a stem that is planted. So this is a living, breathing flower with 5 petals. And there's 2 leaves on the side. I always think of those as support, because it's important that we have support in our life. In the center of the circle, if you decide to use this tool, I encourage you to write your name in the very center, because this event's all about you. And each petal you can use to represent each of the different experts. So I can be petal 1 since I'm speaking first, and then you can go around the circle with each expert as they're sharing and capture those key thoughts, those key words. And what's beautiful about using a tool like this is at the end of the event, you'll have a 1-page summary that you have helped create. You've caught those key points that can help you remember the insights and the tips that were supportive of you. You can use colors. I invite you to put a little heart around you, so you remember to give yourself love. We forget we're so good at giving love to and support to others. It's important we remember to give love to ourselves. So put your name in the center, and then put a heart around to support you in holding space as you receive all of the beautiful content that has been prepared for you today. We have our beautiful speakers. We're going to go through our presentations one at a time. It'll be in an interview format. So as we're going along, if you have a question pop into your heart or spirit, please type that in. Send that to us. We'll be happy to bring that into the conversation, because again, we are here to support you. You're the reason for the event. So thank you everybody again for coming together, for joining. I encourage you to take those notes. There's going to be some great tips and insights. Be thinking about what are some things that you can add to your toolbox to help you, to support you, to navigate through 2022 and beyond. We have a lot of things that come at us, unexpected shifts and changes in direction, and how powerful it is to have some ways to navigate those changes in an empowered way. So you're going to hear great tips, great ideas, great things that can help you align with your purpose, help you spring forward. So be listening with your ears and your heart and your spirit for all that is going to unfold today. Beautiful. So I'm going to set my flower to the side, but I hope you keep yours in front of you. And I want us to take a moment and really center so that we are fully present and ready to receive. So let's take a moment and breathe. Take a breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, like through a straw. Just feel how great it feels to breathe, to be. It's absolutely enough. Keep breathing. I invite you to close your eyes and put one hand on your heart, one hand on your head. This is to bring in all of you, mind, body, soul, and spirit. Beautiful. And as you do so, and you really sink into this is time for you to receive. What is it that you need? What is it that will encourage you, empower you, support you to spring forward? What do you need today, real time, that you are willing to receive because you have choice? So what is it that you need, are willing to receive? So we take a moment to feel in and receive. Beautiful. As that information comes in, just take a breath and open your eyes, become fully present. Beautiful. And take a moment and write down what was laid on your heart and spirit so we can keep it top of mind. What is it that you need today? What is it that will support you, that you're willing to receive? So unattached to how, that's important. You're identifying the need and what you are willing to receive. And in fact, you don't have to figure out how. You get to be excited about what is coming, what you get to be surprised. Isn't it great when we learn something new? A new way to approach something, a new something that we can shift how we look at things or how we approach things. That's great to have an answer that we've been seeking, an encouragement, reminder, whatever it is that you need. Let's be open and ready to receive. Beautiful. And then for anyone, as we're sitting in this space, are feeling a little bit of a pull, a little bit of a distraction, I have something for you too. So we go again, take another breath. Breathing is so powerful. Close your eyes, absolutely safe. And just kind of, for a moment, give attention to whatever it is that is wanting attention. And just for a moment, it gets that attention. And then we're going to take it and pick it up lovingly and put it into a heart-shaped box. So let's put that, whatever that is that's pulling at you, wanting your attention, trying to distract you a little bit. Let's just take a moment, put it lovingly in the box. We'll put some beautiful tissue paper on top and a lid with tiny air holes, nothing suffocating. But this is your time. Let's lovingly set that box to the side for safekeeping. And you know exactly where it is. You can pick it up at the end of our time together today. But this is time for you. And I claim that, I declare that this is a time for you to receive and be poured into. Beautiful. Great. So as you're putting those lids on and setting it to the side, it's great to put it out of view so it doesn't keep pulling your attention. So kind of put it out to the side, you know where it is, it's safe. And now this is your time. This is Spring Forward 2022, designed especially for you. Welcome. Now, as we were preparing for today, I had some things drop into my spirit, and I thought it's so helpful to have a way to receive the information that we're going to receive today. So I gave you an idea about taking notes and even an image that you can use to help capture information. But I also think sometimes having some mindset or perspectives can help us be open to receive information as well. And so I had wisdom from one of my grandmothers pour into my spirit this morning and just on my heart to share with all of you. So I wanted to take a moment and share about my Grandma Quinn. She was an amazing woman that loved life. And we had a distance between us, but it was such a deep connection. It's like we could feel each other. We had that kind of connection. We knew when it was time to connect, time to call, when there was something going on in respective lives. We just knew and sensed it and would call. So I would call my grandma when something amazing happened. And I call her and go, Grandma, you'll never guess, this amazing thing happened, or I achieved this, or this honor, or met this person, or whatever it was. I was so excited about. My voice would go up. I'd be speaking more quickly and I'd be sharing with her with great enthusiasm. And she would just hold that space and celebrate with me that connection. And then she would share some wisdom with me. She'd say, Rebecca, that's amazing. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. Or I celebrate this with you. So she joined in that celebration. And then she said, remember to take time for you. I know this is exciting and wonderful, but remember to allow space and time to process on a cellular level. Even wonderful things are a strain and a stretch on our body. Give it time to process, give it time to integrate. And I would go, yeah, Grandma, I got it, will do. And I'd move on with my day. I wasn't very good at that, especially in those highs. It was exciting. I'd go on to the next thing, but she would tell me this every high. And then I would call her at a low point, in a low moment, and say, Grandma, this horrible thing happened, this loss. I just don't even know the words to explain what I'm feeling. And I don't even know how to process or get up at this moment. And she would hold that space for me too. And she'd be there with me and share that her heart hurt too. And she was there with me and reminded me that, Rebecca, remember to be extra kind to yourself, just like you would with your own best friend. You don't need to push through or be something or do something. Remember to allow yourself to process on a cellular level. Give yourself that grace, that love, that support that you would give your best friend. Sometimes we can be so hard on ourselves or push or expect ourselves to just keep going when something so dramatic has happened in our life. And I was a little bit better at listening in those moments. And call after call, year after year, she shared that same advice. And when those highs would happen and those lows would happen, I would start to hear, she programmed me, I would start to hear her voice, her reminder, the energy with which she shared that. I would hear that and I'd start to remember to pause or to be kind when I would start talking to myself about the shoulds. I should be okay by now. I should be able to do this. And I could start to treat myself like my own best friend. The other thing my grandmother did every single call, this is how she would end the calls. She would say, Rebecca, you know, my health is very fragile, which it was. And I could go at any time. And I want you to know I'm at peace. I'm so grateful for the love in my life. I have been fully loved and I have loved. So I'm at peace. But again, my health is very fragile. Yes, Grandma. And I want you to make me a promise. It's a little bit of manipulation, but I loved my grandma, trusted her. And I would say, yes, Grandma, what? I want you to promise me that you will take care of my granddaughter. And that was me. Every single call. And one day it was our last call. And yet those messages and what she shared with me and what she wove into my life became part of me on a cellular level. And I'm so grateful. And I'm sharing this because whether you are in a high right now or a low right now, or maybe somewhere in between, I want you to remember to take care of you. I want you to remember to be extra kind to yourself, to celebrate those highs, to be gracious and loving in the lows, to extend yourself that same understanding and compassion and support that you would give your best friend. Because you're listening to what you're saying to yourself. Your cells are listening, your heart is listening, your spirit is listening, and it's seeing the actions you're taking. So be mindful of that. Be extra kind. I celebrate that you are here today because you are allowing others to come alongside you, to celebrate with you, to support you, to pour into you, to know that we're cheering you on and we are connected because you are a precious gift. And I want you to take that in deeply and process it on a cellular level. We're going to have pauses throughout our time together to allow you room and space to take things in on a cellular level, to breathe, to be, not just adding things to the to-do list, but like integrating it in, receiving what serves, breathing out what no longer does. So I want you to feel that love and that support woven throughout our time together today, because we have now, we have today. And I want you to receive just everything that has richly been prepared for you. Beautiful. And then I have another grandmother. I was richly blessed with 4. There's 2 that had messages for us today. So my second one is Grandma Ives. And my grandma, she loved people, loved life, and she loved to give gifts. And she was very crafty and creative. And so a lot of the ways she expressed love in the world was through giving of gifts. And one of the things she loved to do was make flower pins. See if I can get you to see a flower pin there. So there's a flower at the top and there's a pen underneath. And she would make bouquets of these that tied into the season and give them to people as gifts to brighten their day, brighten their spirit. And I remember looking up one day when I was visiting her and seeing this beautiful collection of flower pins. And suddenly it dawned on me, that's us. We are the flower pins. We each have a different fragrance, a different color, a different texture, a different scent that we bring to the world, that we weave into this beautiful fabric of life. Like we're a garden of life. And we all get to bring our uniqueness to that mixture, our beauty. So at our events, I started making flower pins, and I know some of the people on the panel today have been at our events, and I saw them smile when I held up the flower pin because I would hand these out and there would be different pins at every seat at the tables where people would be sitting. And what I would ask people to do at some point during the day, and so I want you to visualize this with me, I would have everybody take their pen and stand and hold it up high and proud, remembering that they are the flower, they're the center, lifting themselves up, lifting that light up, supporting it, celebrating it, appreciating the beauty of their unique blossom, and admiring that and enjoying it. And then looking around the room and noticing all the other beautiful flowers. And as they would stand and hold their flowers, we could see that garden that diverse, beautiful, vibrant garden. And then I'd ask a few people to take down their pens, and sometimes they're resistant. So I would have a couple people take down the pens. And what I wanted people to observe is notice that we're still occupying the same space, but everyone's garden just became less vibrant. And that's what happens when we shrink back, when we hide our light, when we try to be like someone else. The world misses out. So, one of the things I want you to listen for and a mindset to have for today is to be looking for the beauty within you. How can you share a little bit more of your uniqueness, your gifts, your talents with the world? And that makes a global difference, a positive, powerful impact, heart by heart, life by life. It's like we set this ripple out as we are willing to stand in who we are, in our truth, and share that and shine that. So I want you to listen for ways to stretch just a little bit more today, to find ways to share a little bit more of your brilliance with the world. And we're going to give you some great tips and tools to help you spring forward, to bring you forward, to encourage you on your journey. But I want you listening especially close for ways that you can bring more of you forward. That is a gift to the world. Great. And I hope that you're hearing. We haven't said this directly, so to be clear, because I've learned not to make assumptions, you can't read my mind. But what I hope that you hear through our words, through our messages, through our sharing today, is that life is not a solo journey. I don't know where the myth got started. I don't know why we think we have to do things on our own. It is not true. Let's bust that myth. We get to come together. We get to support one another. And every person on the panel today is leaning into you. So I want you to know that. I want you to feel that. They're going to have ways that they'll share throughout our time together that you can connect in with them, that you can go deeper. Listen for those. They mean it. It's not just something they have to do and say part of the program. It's that they sincerely are supporting you and want to help you. So if you feel that pull, you feel that connection with one of our experts today, listen for those opportunities, lean in. They are absolutely committed to supporting you and empowering you. So lean in, look for those opportunities. Don't be shy. We are thrilled and excited to be connecting in with you today. Let's see, and I'm just looking at my notes so I make sure as we connect, I don't miss anything. Oh, I do want to touch on one other piece. So Dr. Elizabeth Klaman, who was one of our speakers that we had lined up for today, isn't able to join us. And she has had car trouble. She's okay. But right now she's having travel difficulties and is on the side of the road waiting for AAA to come. So if we could just take a moment, lift her up as we remember life is not a solo journey. And we send her supportive energy and grace and peace, that all of those things will line up perfectly for her day, and that this too will serve her and the change the course has taken, her life has taken today, a little different plan than what we thought the plan would be. And that we're sending her love and support and cheering her on. Beautiful. Thank you for taking that moment with me. She does send her love and is excited for hearing the impact that you experience today, what happens as you go through our time together. And then I have an ask as well. So for those of you who are led to draw your flower chart and capture that information, I'd love to see them. So at the end of if you feel led that you want to share, you can send it to me in email. You can share it on social media, and then everyone who's participating gets to experience it. But I love to see that. And then we get to share this ripple effect visually of what the summit has meant to you and how we're claiming that, owning that, and sharing that out in the world. So that's just an extra credit bonus opportunity for those of you who like that, those of you who like visibility and being connected and supported. I want to encourage you to do that. Also, we have a community called Rebecca. I said yes. It's in Facebook. around celebrate each other. That's what we do in that group. We celebrate that you leaned in, that you said yes, that you took that stretch, you took that challenge, that you stepped out in a new way, that you launched something. We're going to come alongside you and share that and celebrate that. And that's going to be in Facebook, Rebecca, I Said Yes. So if you're wanting that support, you're wanting that community, I wanted to let you know a place that you could sink in and get that support. So that's one of my special opportunities for you today to keep that connection and keep that community going. And with that, I'm excited to officially start with our fabulous interviews. You're in for a treat. I know you're going to enjoy each of our amazing experts, and I look forward to seeing all that they will share. So are we ready to receive? Yeses, I saw some nods. Okay, well, it's my privilege and honor to introduce our first amazing guest, Ballard. She is an international speaker, #1 international author, founder of Women of the World Network, personal brand and leadership coach for multinational women. She has an MBA in marketing, and she is passionate about helping women around the world stand in their power and shine. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Elle Ballard to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Yay, I'm excited to be here, and just beautiful space you created. So thank you for doing this.
Oh, you are welcome. I'm thrilled to have you joining us today. And I commented earlier behind the scenes, I love your picture. It's perfect. Like it was all planned.
Right. Yes,
See, it all comes together.
Didn't even think about, oh, wow, you're right. I didn't even think about the two.
See?
All meant to be.
Exactly. I love that. So I wanted to start our conversation with why. Why is this work that you do in so many different areas, Women of the World Network, helping multinational women, why is this work personally so important to you?
Great question. So I am originally from Kazakhstan. I came here about 20 years ago, and having to start from point zero several times in my life, living in a new country, settling in a new country, helping my family settle, but also finding work and leaving one area or one industry to change for another. So different situations, not only my move, right, but different life situation. And having done that, I wanted to create a community, a platform that will help support other women like me with what I learned through my journey. You know, help support them, help empower them. And just like you mentioned, in the community, everything is multiplied. You know, we become stronger when we are together. So that's what brought me to launch Women of the World Network.
I love it. And can you give us a feel of how many countries, or just a little bit of, just because we have people listening from around the world, it's nice for people to have a little bit of a feel that don't know you yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 21 countries represented right now. And what I mean by that is women from different different countries living here in the US now. Some of them newcomers, some of them settled, most of them settled like myself. And what I mean by that is living here over 10 years plus. And we have a lot of women who were born and raised in the US who want to connect to the multinational women as well. So women of the world.
Beautiful.
Women of the world.
Beautiful. I love that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And I know some of the things that you have brought forward. So in addition to Women of the World Network, you've also been bringing forward some anthologies and book compilations where multiple voices are coming together and you're sharing them out. Would you mind sharing I know you have one coming up soon, and there was one that you released previously, just to give people a little bit of a feel?
Absolutely. And Rebecca, I remember how you and me met first at one of your events. And I remember exact conversations that we had about Anthologies. And here we are on the second series and starting to work on the third series. And I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to you as well and your team for your support in this process. that, was completely new for me. But, we are doing it, and it's just so beautiful to be able to share those stories. So our first series called Women of the World, and we have, I believe, about 13 countries represented, and just unique stories of women from different countries, which became #1 international bestseller, and just women sharing from the heart on their different stories, their challenges, overcoming those challenges, growing up in different countries, even some very challenging war situation, and so on and so forth. So that's a powerful book, and that's a series that was published last year, first in the series. The second one is coming out actually April 7th. I'm so excited. We are really getting close to our launch, and this one will be it's called Recipes for Your Body, Mind, and Soul. And what we are doing there is we are sharing recipes. Some of them are cooking recipes, some of them are life recipes, such as recipe for forgiveness, relationships, and so on and so forth. But the unique thing to me about this book is also, it's not only recipe that is presented, but each recipe is backed by the story that led to the recipe. A few women are sharing, like you shared about your grandmothers, beautiful stories about your grandmothers, and I had goosebumps remembering my grandmother. And so a couple of stories in the book, we actually have people dedicated to people who are no longer here, but just honoring them, their life, how giving they were, and through those recipes. So I'm just excited to bring that book to the world as well. And we have 12 countries represented in that book. And then we're going to be starting to work on the third series, which will be around women and money and influence. And that will be another powerful edition. And I'm excited about that one, because that will be very interesting as well.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I love the books that you're bringing forward and giving voices to so many. And I'm just, for those who aren't familiar with what an anthology is, I was just going to take a moment and explain. And so an anthology is where multiple authors come together and they each write a chapter or a section. And then there's a leader called the compiler, that would be Elle in this case, that is leading that project. And then they publish and launch the book together. And so that's what an anthology is. Sometimes they're called book compilations, but it's a great way to have a taste and wisdom and insights from a group that is united in heart and spirit. So I love anthologies. I think they're great. I'm excited about the recipe one. I can't wait to see that one and have that shared. And I'm curious, as you're leading these projects and you lead so many different things, do you see transformation occur? Do you see shifts and changes for the authors? Do you feel like you change and grow? I'm just curious. I know when I've led them, it's I've grown every single one. So I'm curious what your experience has been.
Yeah, definitely grown. And even if I look back with my first anthology that I participated in my own growth through writing those and through leading those, even though different journeys, definitely growing. And I think the main thing for me, initially, and I feel like a lot of women feeling that way too, that they don't have a story to share, or they don't know what to share, or they're thinking they're not going to bring value, right? So my story, what's unique about my story? And I used to think that way, but the more I write them, the more I rediscover myself almost through my own stories, and I think it's a similar journey for other women. And every story is so beautiful. And when we are ready to open up, and there's a beautiful quote I read somewhere: when we write something as if when we write something as if no one will read it. And that when I read that, I thought that's so beautiful, because when we tend to filter when we write through our own eyes, and that's not helping for the story to be powerful. But when we forget all of that, remove all of that, and just write as if no one will read it, that's when the story can be so powerful. And I love that. And when I learned that and tried to do that in my own stories, and with women, definitely. And also seeing transformation in our co-authors as well. And I'm just proud that they are ready to share them and to bring those stories to the world. And when they hold in the book, it's just, it's just amazing, beautiful feeling, right? It's such a big accomplishment. So yes, definitely.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And I feel like then that goes out in the world and it creates this ripple. So what an amazing way to tap into support and to tap into that kind of insight through a collective like that. I mean, what a great way to build that into our libraries and to build that into our network. So I appreciate you taking a moment and sharing a little bit about that. And as we look back at some of what you've shared, so the experience of leading those projects, of holding that space for them, are there things that you're noticing help people, help the authors, help women in the network spring forward, keep moving forward in a positive way? Are there some tips or pieces of advice as we're thinking about springing forward that are on your heart to share today?
And beautiful names spring forward. And the first thing that comes to my mind, I think, again, when we are doing it in the community with other women and we are leading ourselves first and we're showing that this can be done and accomplished, we give others permission to do the same and to share. And once they start sharing, supporting them along the way and cheering them on, it's just that just multiplies, right? And the more we share those stories, the more we can help change others' lives or challenging situations that they have, but they're not speaking about. How many times they can read that and say, wow, I'm going through the same thing, like I needed to read that today. And we don't know that. And if we keep it to ourselves and if we don't share, or if we don't put it anywhere, write it down and share it with the world, we never know whom we could help with that story. And I think that's the beautiful part of it as well.
I love that. I love that. There was I'm paraphrasing a quote a friend of mine says, Kathy Davis, and it's wisdom not shared is lost forever. And I think we need as much wisdom and support and advice as we can get. So please, everybody, be generous with your wisdom, with your experience. Share it. And if you feel that pull, it's being called. And I love that you're creating this space and this way for people to do that, a chapter at a time. And sometimes a full book or other things can feel heavy and hard and or lonely. And so I love that you're creating a way for people to bring their messages forward in that way and share that beautiful insight and wisdom and expertise. So I love it, love it, love it. Now, I also know you have beautifully prepared an amazing gift for our viewers today. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to share about that a little bit and how can people share what it is and how can they get hold of it and lean in?
Yeah, and yes, thank you, Rebecca. So I love how you spoke about flowers, and I love how you spoke how each flower represents the uniqueness about each human being. That is so true. Sometimes we forget that, and I think what I want to offer today is personal brand giveaway, and I will post a link to it, and it basically summarizes 5 keys to strengthening your personal brand. The reason I'm passionate about personal branding is just for that reason, because everyone is unique, but I think sometimes we forget that. That's also the reason behind Women of the World Network, and what we do is helping women stay authentic and true to who they are in the first place. And if you're familiar with or not familiar with personal branding, it's really a combination of your skills and experience, which is professional, combined with your personality and who you truly are individually. And that is something nobody can take away from you, whether you if you're doing a job, if you change job titles, companies, right? Your title changes, director to senior director or whatever. If you open it as a business, new business, a second, third, fourth, your personal brand stays with you no matter what. And that's why I love that concept. And that's what I'm offering to the listeners today.
Oh, beautiful. What a wonderful opportunity. And I love that because I think sometimes we think brand is something outside of ourselves, or we just focus on the professional and we forget that it's a bigger and that it weaves together and how we show up, and it matters because you want it to be in alignment with who you are, what you're looking to do, what you're wanting to bring forward. So what an amazing opportunity for people. How can they lean in and get this amazing opportunity and gift?
Yeah, definitely. Can I share a link in the chat?
That would be great.
Okay.
And we'll share all the links out in the replay when we send it out. We'll send them out. But if you could read it as well for people who, because the chat might go away. So it would be great if you could share it out as well.
Oh, yeah. I just
Yeah.
have a basic
So
link, I
both
guess.
is great.
Yeah. So I'll post the link. It's just basically a link to the form. So
Okay.
I'll post it in the chat. But yeah, thank you again
Okay.
for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And do you have any final thoughts or tips as we're looking at springing forward that are on your heart and spirit? And I love how you shared that you've had to restart multiple times, and we might even have people that have had to restart or are in that. And if there's anything on your heart to share with them.
Yes, I think the thing that comes to me is just remembering that you are enough, and also remembering that everything that happens in our lives mirrors where we are, people we meet, attitudes we have, and everything starts here, right here, right here. So if we start with ourselves and continue to grow, continue to through the life journey, really, and I think that's what I want to share today, and remembering that we are enough, just who we are today and right now, this moment, this minute, this lifetime, this year, this month, this day.
Beautiful. Right now we declare it so. So let's everyone just breathe that in. You are enough. That's the truth. Ah, beautiful. And for those who want to connect and go deeper, what's the best way for them to do that? I know you're going to put the link for the gift, but are there any other ways that you would love for people to connect in?
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, it's ellballard.com. It's my website, and there is the link there that we can connect through that, and I'd be happy to connect with all of you. Yes, and thank you so much for having me today, Rebecca.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. So everyone, we're going to take a moment and process all of the beautiful information that Elle has shared with us. And if there are any, I'm checking my phone here, but it's all about you guys in the summit because I want to see if there are any messages that my team is sending me or questions. So I just want to take a moment and see if any are coming through. And if it doesn't look like I have any yet, so feel free to enter those in. I'll be checking throughout our time together because, again, this is your time, and what an opportunity to have this collection in the room that you can tap into. So I encourage you to let us know if there are things that you have questions about or you want to go deeper. I know each of our experts will be honored to do so. So thank you again, Elle. I appreciate it. And everybody, just take a moment and collect your thoughts. So whether you're doing it in the flower chart or you're writing down some notes, what are some things that can help you spring forward? What are some reminders? What are some truths or new perspectives that kind of popped up? Maybe even considering adding an anthology or two to your library. Or maybe you feel like, I might be able to write a chapter. I think I do have something I want to share. And now you know somebody who leads projects like that. So it's something to just feel in, see where your heart is being touched, see where your spirit's being touched. And we're just going to take a moment for all of us to process. Okay, 30 more seconds. Okay. Well, I'm excited to introduce our next amazing expert. I know you're going to love her as well. So it's my pleasure to introduce Lina to you. Lina is a global women's rights expert, a writer, a speaker, an advisor. She's on several boards. She has over 25 years, a track record of 25 years creating positive change for women in over 20 countries around the world. She's been featured on CNN. I'm trying to read my notes at TEDx and Good Morning America. And she's absolutely passionate about empowering women around the world. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Lina Abirafeh to the show. Welcome.
What an amazing welcome. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you joining us. Welcome, welcome. And I'd love to start with the conversation with why. Why is this work of empowering women, this mission that you've taken on and dedicated so many years and time and energy to? Why is that personally important to you?
First of all, I think it should be important to all of us. Born as a woman, you are born fundamentally unequal in the eyes of the world. There is no single country in the world that views us as equal fully in all aspects of our social, political, economic life. So we all have a lot of work to do. So everybody needs to take this personally, because really it's about all of us. And the fact that we still haven't achieved equality after all this time and all this fight is baffling. The more people who knew about the extent of it, I think the more angry we should be, the more galvanized we'd be into action, and the sooner we'll be able to fix it.
I love that this is not just a women's issue. This is universal, and this is an opportunity we have to take a stand and to move things forward. And now I know that this started as a mission and calling at a very young age. Do you mind sharing a little bit of your journey and how this became what you knew was your calling to move forward?
Well, I had a sense of social justice and equality and rights from a very young age. I just didn't put the words to it. I come from a diverse background. I'm Lebanese and Palestinian. I was raised in Saudi Arabia, then in the States. So conflict, gender, identity, hyphens are all part of what I inherited and have had to negotiate. But it crystallized for me when I was 14. I was in a school in Northern Virginia, where we moved after all our travels around the region. And it was a class called Comparative Women's History. And we didn't actually study women's history. What we did was study the history of violence against women. And I was absolutely furious. So there's 14-year-old me just crying, reading all the material, taking notes, angry as ever, all fired up to do something. Because what I learned in that class was that every woman and girl everywhere, from the fetus to the funeral, is subjected to some form of violence, whether we label it as such or not. Intimate partner violence, economic, social violence, all forms of sexual violence, horrific things like bridal burning, female genital mutilation, even things that we do to our bodies, like how we used to break our ribs to fit into corsets, or foot binding, or what it does not ever end. We look at how we are expected to conform to fashion. This month it's big boobs, and next month it's butts, and this skinny waists, and you got to diet, and your skin's got to be light and white and fair and Botox, and it doesn't ever end for us. So seeing that in its totality, looking at the entire world that way, I was just appalled. And I've been angry about it ever since. It's been over 3 decades. It's been a long time, a lot of anger.
Yes. But I like that you're harnessing it to make a difference, to bring awareness to us knowing that this is going on. And so how can we move forward in a positive way from that? And I know you have some really great ways that we can spring forward, that we can move things forward in a powerful way. So what can we do today to start moving things, to show our care, to start making a difference in this area? What are your tips and recommendations around that?
The first thing we have to do is see it for what it is. You know, once you understand these things about the world, once you see them, you can never unsee them. And if you don't see it, you don't know what you're fighting against. You don't know what you need to change. You know, so when I tell people it is going to take us 100 years to close the gender gap, they're absolutely appalled. I mean, that's something we should all know. When I tell people that 1 in 3 women and girls worldwide will experience some form of violence, they're appalled, but they should know. And so knowing those things is the first step. Educating yourself, listening to the voices that are out there fighting the fight. There are ways to volunteer, to support, to contribute, to engage, but there are ways to change dynamics in your own household. Start where you are. I keep saying start where you stand, which is the theme of my TED Talk. The idea that I might have done it all around the world. I was lucky, and that's the way that I chose to serve, is to work across 20 different countries and humanitarian emergencies, but not everyone has to do it that way. If you started in your own home with your family, with your children, with your peer group, your community, your education, your religious space, whatever it is, whatever space you occupy, you can take that and make it feminist. You can bring equality and inclusion and diversity and respect into that space. I think that behavior is contagious, you know, so you might as well make it good behavior so people can pick up on that and feel encouraged and empowered to do the same. So that is a very easy start.
I like that, but it's a thoughtful, purposeful start. It's having that awareness and choosing how to navigate, to be aware, to echo out those things that matter to you. I like that, because we are contagious, like our behaviors, how we think, how we feel, we are sharing and emanating that out. So let's do so in a purposeful way, in a mindful way. And I love that, in having inclusion, being aware of the diversity, like bringing all of that in so that we are aligning our way of being with what we say is important in this area to us. So I think that's really, really great. And then I just have some notes too. I get all excited, but I want to honor some of the beautiful content that we have prepared. So I love this, you know, starting where we are in the circles of influence we have, whether that's where we work or social groups that we hang out, wherever it is, that we are taking a stand and are aware of how we're interacting and how we can change those steps in the dance. Do you have an example or a way that you have seen that change or shift for people doing that? Because I think it's, you know, a great concept, but sometimes, you know, we're hanging out or whatever, and we don't say something when there's a joke of a certain way, or we see bullying happen in a certain way. And, you know, so when we see things like that, what is something we can do to shift that dynamic?
You know, I'm not saying that it's easy to be a bystander that is active and takes on responsibility, but it is essential to be one. There are tools and techniques you can learn for how to do it, even if you just speak up and say something. And what I found that is really encouraging for me is the way that men and boys are starting to do it in their own peer groups. For me, the majority of perpetrators, when we talk about violence against women, are men, but not the majority of men are perpetrators. So there are a lot of men and boys who are champions and allies and supporters. And I want them to be louder. You know, guys, where are you? I don't think any of us can afford to be quiet, because it is really powerful when a young guy turns to another in his peer group and says, you know what? Don't do that. That's enough. Those things take a lot of courage, but it is so much more powerful from within your own community or peer group or friends or allies than it would be coming from somebody from the outside. A reprimand from somebody like me to a group of 14-year-old boys could be met with mockery. When it comes from the inside, it has meaning. It holds weight. It is more powerful. They know the language that they need to use to stop each other. And that's how those dynamics change slowly. Yes. And that's what I'd like to see. People from the inside, especially men and boys, standing up and speaking out, because equality in the end is better for everyone. And I think deep down they know when they see something that makes them uncomfortable. I just want them to be louder about it.
Beautiful. And I thank you. I appreciate you sharing that, because I think we all can do that, because we do see those things sometimes and we're not quite sure, or it feels uncomfortable. And I think at those moments we have an opportunity that we can maybe stand a little differently in that, or bring some awareness to it, and choose how we navigate, or think back if I'm in that situation again, because sometimes it's when looking back we see things. How can I navigate differently? What tools can I add to my toolbox so I can stand in this in a way that is in alignment with what matters to me and what I want to see in the world and what I want to bring forward? And I think that's so important, because we can't undo, but we can shift and we can move forward in powerful and positive ways. I love that. So with all of this, are there any final tips or suggestions that you have as we're looking at springing forward that we can start to weave into our tapestry today?
Well, first of all, we can be better. I really believe that about all of us. And by being better, we can also do better, right? Being better as individuals, doing better for ourselves and for others. And we can make things better, because ultimately, I keep saying women and girls deserve better. How is it that we're still arguing this point with 3.7 billion women in the world and we still haven't gotten there? I feel like this is a responsibility for all of us. And we have ample evidence that shows that when women and girls are equal and empowered, it is better for them, for families, for communities, for countries. We know peace lasts longer when women are involved. We know countries have a better chance of being prosperous when women are involved. It isn't about the type of government or the health of the economy. It's about how a country treats its women. So when we know all of that, when we see all of those things, like I said, you don't ever unsee them. When you look at what's happening now in Ukraine, you look at what's happening with the refugee movements around the world, you look at what's happening right here in the States with our own reproductive rights, and you start to think about these things differently, and you start to care. And that's what I'd like to see. You know, I'd like to see more young people involved. I'd like to see people turning their anger, their awareness and anger into action. And if anyone needs help doing that, that is what I'm here for.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that it can be turned into action. So that's good. And what is a great way for people to connect in with you if they want to go deeper, they want to learn more? What's the best way?
I would love that. Well, I am active on Twitter. I blog every week on some aspect of women's rights. I just published my second book. I am hoping for a publisher for my third, because this time I want to make things personal, and I'm looking at writing a memoir. So there'll definitely be more information. I have tons of stories to share. So I keep telling people if they can spell my last name, they can find me. So I'll spell it out. So my name is Lina. First name, it's easy, rhymes with Tina. Can't mess it up. Last name is Abirafeh, Abirafeh. So once you have that, it's the same on Twitter and Instagram, my website, the books on Amazon, and whatever ways you want to find me, please poke me. I welcome it and I'm ready for it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing today. I appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to give everyone a moment to just take a breath, breathe in what Lina has shared with us today. And I'm really taking in this deep care and passion. And I think we should care about those things that matter to us. And we should lean in and try to bring positive change when we see something that isn't right. So I think it's great to take a moment and kind of feel into that. So I really appreciate the passion that she shared and her commitment to really shifting the tide here, making a difference. And I hope that you've heard some tips that, you know, if you are in those situations or you do witness something or see something, that how you respond, how you choose to echo out matters. It makes a difference. So we can all do that in all those areas that matter to us. Let's just take a moment, breathe in, receive what serves, take a couple notes. I'm going to check my messages to see. I don't want anyone to have a question that I miss. I need a quick note. Okay, looks like everybody is feeling complete, and that's wonderful. So if those questions do come, please feel free to send them in. I'll be checking periodically. We're excited to have so many people joining in and watching. And, sometimes people are a little bit shy, and that's all good. But we welcome the interaction, the communication, and again, are just so humbled and honored to have each of you sharing this time with us in this space to help you spring forward in all those areas that matter to you. So we're going to continue on with our beautiful experts. So I am excited to introduce our next amazing expert, Beverly. She is an energy light worker, intuitive, writer, and teacher. Her work is energy clearing, spiritual awakening, and heart-centered transformation. Her work births new freedoms to choose, expanded possibilities that align with your purpose. I love the feel of that. She is passionate about helping you step into your full potential. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Beverly Burnell to the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Beverly. You are very welcome. Excited to have you here. I love that you brought flowers to the stage here too. It's perfect. It's like we coordinated. I love it. Well, I'm excited to welcome you today. And I wanted to start with why. Why is this work personally so important to you that you do in the world?
Oh, I have found so much personal relief, personal heartfelt experiences of myself and of my relationships through the work that was done with me in the beginning and over time, as close as, about 2 hours ago. There's so much coming at us, and there's so much we've been through that clouds and fogs our perception. And it's not just in our everyday living, but it's through our ancestry, through our birth process, our womb time, our early development, and it's all there making noise. And I have found so much more peace and capacity to navigate through all that noise by doing the work with other people and by wanting to offer it to others and by experimenting. I love experimenting. What are we capable of? What are human beings capable of? And our world is, the TV, the media, our reading, our imagination, and there's so much more beyond that we have the power to play with, to join forces with, to let go of, to move out of our psyche so we can be more authentic with who we are. And I find that obviously very exciting.
Oh, I love that. I can feel your excitement and that experimenting and seeing and stretching and exploring. I love that. And you're right. We do have all of this noise and energy that is coming at us, and it can be hard to kind of find our way to navigate through that from our history, our ancestors, just all of it. So I love that you are taking a stand to help us in this space really navigate those waters. So I just celebrate you and the work that you do and your willingness to help people step into that potential and move forward in a positive way. So it's perfect. Love it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know that you've prepared some beautiful content and information for us. I'm really excited to get to it. But I also had a few questions. Is it okay if I kind of weave some of that in too? Okay, I just asked permission because I don't want to throw anyone. Yeah, surprise. Guess what? So perfect. So I was thinking about energy and some of the work that you do may be a new space for people, that they're not familiar with what energy work is, clearing, ancestor things like that just may be a new space. So I was wondering if you could just build a bridge for us a little bit, if that's something new to us, to help us understand a little bit more of what that is and why it's important for us to get support in those areas and utilize some of the tools and expertise that you have.
Interesting. I just wrote an article. I finished it last night for the Inner Voice magazine. It comes out in March with exactly like that answer.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
I'll read it. But do you ever hear like people will say, you're just like your mother? And then they'll give you why. And it's like, not me. But if a person looks really deeply, oh my gosh, I am really defensive. I am really aggressive. I am really, name your list of options that we don't realize we are exactly. A friend gave me this and I'm just like holding it. We're really unconscious about, but we're living those patterns out. Or someone will say, you remind me of your great aunt or your grandmother, your grandfather. He was so inventive and so passionate and so off the mainstream, and he was really into nutrition. But then there's that other grandmother who was into candy. And it's like noticing the connections beyond behaviors, also the belief systems and the perceptions of we see about ourselves and others. There's so much potency and manipulation inside of us that's going on. So we're living out their thoughts, their dreams, their emotions. And someone will say, how do you feel? I don't know. I can't find it. And I don't know why, but it's because we're so fed with all this information in our field. And everything is energy. And the energy is outside of us and inside of us, and it's informing. And we're responding to the information, whether we're talking or not. And it affects our thinking, our feeling, and on and on and on. I could talk for hours.
But I love it that all of this is affecting us and it's showing up in our heart, it's showing up in our life. And I think we have all heard that where somebody says, oh, you're just like so-and-so. And we'll have a response. I know people would say that about my dad, that, oh, you're just like that. And I would be very clear to explain how I was not like my dad, who I love and admire, but I am different. And I remember my dad telling me, Rebecca, for two different people, we're an awful lot alike compared to others that are not us. And somehow I could accept that a little bit more. But I remember so often trying to figure out where I started and stopped, and getting clarity on who I was and what I like and what I don't like, and who am I, and what are those limits or boundaries or whatever for me, that it can get lost. Plus what outside forces are saying or putting on us, or what we're taking on and accepting, that's a lot to sort through. So if someone's finding, wow, I don't know where I start and stop, or I don't know how I feel about something, what is me versus my friends versus whatever, how do we start to unpack that?
Come to me. Have a session. Join my classes. There's a lot of people have their own way or their own processes for supporting people. And I don't know why, but I have these capacities to help people go inside and connect with those origins of thoughts and beliefs and experiences that they're living out, and have dialogue, have communication with the origins, the grandmother, the grandfather, the other dimensional being, and make a shift, create resolution and make a shift in that relationship. So it's not one of these push-pulls and my life. No, it's my life. So there's an honoring, a letting go. And then this person, you, me, we can live as our truer selves, and they're free to go on to higher realms. They don't have to be tied in trying to live out their unresolved issues, emotions, and so forth through us. Beautiful. So it's energy healing.
Yep. No, thank you. That's helpful, because I just feel like it might be something that's new to some of our viewers and understanding, or it could be just they're trying to visualize. And so I think this is really helpful to talk through some of that and how it can show up and what it can feel like, and how they can kind of clear and find more of who they are. So it's perfect. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, I've got a story. So there was a grandmother, and she was very lonely, and she found solace in reading movie magazines and so on and so forth, and had a dream and imagination that she would become a movie star. But she was very depleted because that never happened. And she was very resentful and angry. And she unconsciously took it out on her family and her friends and so on and so forth till the day she died. Well, that anger and resentment lost the meaning of it originally lost has been playing out through the family. Looking at the family line, you can see it in the next daughter and the next daughter and the next daughter in different ways, but it's that anger, that resentment that leaks out in ways that are undefinable, but it's just alive, and a deep sorrow, an underlying sorrow. So we go in, we access the great grandmother, the grandmother, we find out what needs to happen with respect and honor and love, and then separate the energies of all the lineages for them to be free to find their own source. And then that anger and resentment doesn't have to live out in that sorrow. That person has more authentic access to themselves. You can feel it. The client, often I hear people go, I feel more me after a session. Does that make any sense?
That makes a lot of sense. So it even sounds like, is this also generational healing? Is that another term that that would tie into that, and what an impact it can make for that person as well as future generations, because it's not continuing to be passed on. So that's really powerful.
And this relates to your topic, spring forward. Why are we not able to spring forward sometimes? Why do we lose our stamina or our surge? Because we're tying into those ancestral genealogical patterns of, well, I can't be successful, so therefore I'll lose steam. I can't do this because, but when we honor their story and disentangle from it, then we access our true spirit, our true drive, our true future. And we're much more capable of living out what's true for us. That's current.
Yep. I love that. I love that. So just want to take a moment for our listeners and viewers to process some of what you've shared and really think about, are there things like that you feel are happening in your life, or you're witnessing some of that, or you've been told that? I mean, that just filling in, no judgment, no criticism, no, nothing there, but let's feel in, let's see if there's something there that isn't yours, truly. That you are wanting to release or disentangle. It's great to pull some of that awareness and feel in. We have an amazing expert that can help you process and release and move forward. But it's good to kind of see, because maybe that is some of what has you feeling root bound, as my dad would say. You're root bound and you're not able to grow and expand and move forward in the way that you're made. So I'm curious, is there a tip or piece of advice you would give as someone's feeling into this to help them evaluate that and to help them spring forward?
Sure. I've got 3 gifts offered.
Fabulous.
Meditation. And they're like having a personal session with me, only you're doing it on your own. And they guide a person into their heart space. And that sacred heart space, it infuses them with their own love. And it's like a marinade. And as you marinate in that for a little while, then you can call in your ancestors, your younger self, and have a dialogue and hear and sense and feel their wisdom that you probably couldn't access before. And it leads you through a process to actually disentangle. So you're more powerful.
Oh, so what's the best way for us to get this gift?
BeverlyBurnell.com//meditations.
Beautiful. Do you mind saying it one more time? I like that you acted out too. It's great. I love
it's
that.
It's the wrong direction.
I was with you though. I followed. So do you mind saying it one more time?
BeverlyBurnell.com/. And if you go to BeverlyBurnell.com, there's all kinds of stuff right on the front page that you can access it to.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for making it available in so many different ways and for sharing today. I just deeply appreciate it. And I love the grandmother energy that seems to be weaving throughout all of our time together today. And I think that's really beautiful too. So thank you. Any final tip or thought that you want to share with our viewers today?
The light that is in your heart is meant to glow and grow. And if you welcome that happening with every breath that comes through you and let it fill you, it's a beautiful marinade to become present no matter what is going on. And it's a doorway to the richness of your being coming through you in whatever way it's meant to be.
I love that. Thank you. Our hearts are meant to glow and grow. And I can just feel that beautiful energy. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Absolutely. Oh, love it, love it, love it. So everybody, we are taking one of those moments again to process on a cellular level so that we can integrate, receive everything that is serving us. So let's take a moment to capture any thoughts, final notes, things that we want to make sure that we real time take a moment to breathe in and to take in and release what no longer serves. So I'll give everyone a moment while I check to see if anyone, a brave soul, has questions. So give me just a moment. Well, we're getting positive thumbs up, which is good. So positive interaction, which we love. That's fabulous and great. So we're definitely connecting and resonating. And then I want to just take a moment. And I was thinking with all the beautiful grandmother energy coming in and the wisdom, and even talking generational, as we were talking about some of that today, let's take a moment and just see, is there a grandmother message that anyone is receiving today? So all of our viewers and listeners and panelists, we can just kind of feel in and see, is there a message or a reminder that is coming through about your grandmother or a grandmother type person that was in your life? So let's just take a moment and feel in and appreciate that beautiful energy that is joining us today. Great. So I know I had something drop into my heart and spirit about grandmothers as we continue the walk here today, and one of them is my laugh. So you may have noticed I do tend to laugh. I have a kind of a distinct laugh, I've been told. And it was something I was so uncomfortable with for so many years of my life. I just tried to not laugh, but I tend to laugh a lot. So that was really hard. I tried to lower my voice and be a little bit more serious. And, so people would take me the way I thought they needed to take me. And when I decided to step into the space of being a professional speaker, I hired a coach. And the top of the list, because I'm a list maker too, so I am visual, but I like lists too. And it was a big investment with travel involved to bring this coach in. And so I wanted to make sure we accomplished the important things on the list, prioritize, right? All the things that he needed to do, me telling the expert how he needed to like fix and work with me. So top of the list was my laugh. He needed to do something about it because it wasn't professional. It's not okay. How can I go on stages with this laugh and be taken seriously? Like it was just this thing I really fought against. And I remember he listened to me as I passionately went through my list and I pointed everything and I kept pointing back to the laugh, highlighted. And he looked at me, and I was in the financial world at that time. And he goes, "You're in finance, right?" And I said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, language I can understand, please, because this is really stretching me, all of this. I'm not in my comfort zone." And he goes, "So you know about assets and liabilities?" I'm like, "Oh, so my language, yes, I do." And he goes, "So in the speaking world and in the performance world," and he'd worked with like Drew Barrymore and Maroon 5, like very high profile types of personalities. And he goes, "When you have something, Rebecca, that's distinct, that's unique, that people remember about you, that carries across a room, that makes people smile, that they lean into," he goes, "that's a good thing. That goes in the asset column. That doesn't go in the liability column. That's not the thing to fix. That's the thing to lean into. And if anything, do more." And I laughed when he said it with just joy and freedom. And for the first time, I heard my laugh differently. And I could hear the echo of two of my grandmothers in it. So my grandmother on my mother's side and my grandmother's on the father's side, they somehow mixed elements of their laugh was given to me. And all this time, I thought it was this heavy thing I was carrying, and it was a gift. And so that released something in me. It gave me new freedom, and I got to embrace more of who I am with joy and expression. And I have so many people that remember my laugh. They may not remember lots of other things, but they remember my laugh, and it always makes them smile. And I thought, what an amazing gift. I tried to get rid of, I tried to hide for so many years. That was a unique thing I had, that just being me makes a difference in the world. And I think there's so many of those kinds of things that we have that are unique or different, or maybe don't fit the box of what we think something's supposed to be like, but we're too close. Listen to the feedback that you get. Listen to people saying, I love that about you. That's so you. And really take it in and embrace it. And I'm so grateful for that gift. And I'm so glad that he took a moment to tell me not what I thought I knew or needed, but really gave me truth and gave me a new perspective so that I could fully embrace a gift I have been given by my grandmothers. And that's what popped into my heart and spirit. And for anyone watching today, listening, I want to encourage you to find some of those gifts, some of those things that you might think are quirky or weird or like not professional. That was my thing. It's not professional, and bring the you forward, discover what you are and who you are and the imprint you get to have. Take away some of that other stuff that we put on. And I think you've been given great connections today, great tools, great resources to help you do that. So I just wanted to take a moment, thank my grandmothers for their amazing gift and the opportunity to share that in the world. And it's with ease and joy. And I think that's part of it. When we step more into who we are, just being who we are can make a difference, and embracing that and allowing that. So with that, I'm excited to introduce our next amazing guest. And my next guest and we have history.
We do.
I love my Kathleen, and I know you are going to love her as well. Her energy, her spirit, her stories, all that she brings to the world in love, and so powerful and transformative. So let me introduce Kathleen to you. Kathleen is a counselor, healer, trainer, author, and founder of the Center for Conscious Living. She has served clients globally for 4 decades. She is a #1 international bestselling author and serves her clients through a soul-based counseling. It's a bunch of modalities. So I'm just going to give you a snapshot so you have a feel. So soul-based counseling, spiritual healing, hypnotherapy, brain spotting, which is fascinating. So you have to ask her about that if you ever talk to her, coaching and speaking, and transformational workshops. She is passionate about bringing more love and purpose to the world. Please lean in and warmly welcome the dynamic and fun Kathleen Sims to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here with each of you. I'm really honored to be here.
I'm excited to have you joining us. It's so beautiful to be in your energy. I feel like it's been a while, so I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. You want to go dancing?
I do. So that's history, a story for another day, but yes. Love to dance. So so as long as we're there, I guess we'll tell the story. It's so funny. When we first met, we both had these different impressions of each other. And then we ended up, it was a television, right? It was the television
we were on
shoot that we did for, so for several shows that were being done. And we all ended up in the same place, same time. And, we were both kind of, fine with each other, but we had, I thought she was much more serious than she is. And I remember the impression. I think you thought I was a little more professional or something like that. And after the professional shoots and all of that we did, we went out together, and there were a whole group of us, and we discovered that we love to dance, we love to have fun, we love to connect and play and interact with people. And I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
Oh, yes, I'll add to that. There were 5 of us, and we were all let our hair down, so to speak, and being wild women on the dance floor. And people just cleared off the dance floor for all 5 of us to be wild on the dance floor. And there was some man that was kind of attractive, and I was single at the time, and we were talking about him, and Rebecca said, "Do you want to meet him?" And I said, "Yeah, wouldn't that be great?" So she goes over to the stranger man and says, "My friend's looking at you, finding you attractive. Would you like to meet her?" And so he comes over
make
to
this
all
happen.
5 of us women and meets all of us. And oh my God, I thought Rebecca is so outside the box, outrageous when the opportunity arises, and takes advantage of that. And it was so much fun. And when she first saw me at the video shoot, she said something like she saw me as a conservative, grandmother. I'm a great
Oh, see, I don't remember
grandmother,
the well, the
conservative's the
grandmother's a
wrong word.
compliment for me. I love grandmothers. Yeah, but I thought you were a little more serious, about
Yeah, more serious.
everything.
I think that's what you said. I was serious. I thought, oh, little does she know. So thank you.
So
you.
we
Your
bonded, and
relationship- your friendship has been a gift, a really big gift of outrageousness, Rebecca. Namaste.
thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, I am a carpe diem kind of person as well. So I see that opportunity, I can facilitate that connection. So only let me know those things. This is, for those of you, if we ever hang out, only let me know those things if you're serious about the action being taken, because I'm an implementer, and I will take those steps.
It's
we'll
true.
make that happen. So now I would love to focus on you and the beautiful work that you do in helping people, especially in being more loving of themselves and bringing more love to the world. Why is that work personally so important to you?
When I'll try to make this short as possible. When I was 11 years old, I remember having this idea come to my mind, which was that I just knew I wanted to be a therapist when I grew up. And I wanted to help parents be better parents. I want to do counseling with parents, because I wanted children to have a better childhood than I'd had. And that was when I think I was 11 years old. And so I imagined that I would do whatever the path is to get there. And instead, I had a clairvoyant experience when I was 17 and saw my husband across a room of 200 people, and didn't know who he was at all, didn't even know his name. And I had a clairvoyant experience that I was already married to him and had 2 kids and a dog and a house with a white picket fence. And I was only 16 at the time, so I thought it was totally bizarre. However, it dropped into me as if it was already true. So I became a stalker, actually, and found out what hall he was in and where he parked his car and what class he was in, and found out his name. And within 4 days, I had a date with him. And before I got out of high school, I was married to my soulmate, and starting already to have a family. So before I even graduated from high school, I got married and had kids. So it didn't look like the path for me was to go to school and go to college and become a therapist. So I actually put my vision that I had when I was 11 aside and didn't think I would ever be able to do that. However, I wasn't regretful because I was with my soulmate. And we were together for 40 years until he transitioned. And I feel very blessed that that happened to me and that was the path I took. However, when I was in my early 30s, I wanted something more in terms of what I was doing for a career. So, and I had no idea how to make that happen. And I took this intensive transformational workshop that was first thing I ever did like that. It was 4 days long. And this message came from on high to me that I was supposed to do the vision I had when I was 11, and that I could do it my way, not society's way. I walked out of that workshop, had no idea what that meant. But it did give me a relief that I didn't have to do a structure that society says you should do to cause that to happen. But I didn't know what to do instead of that. And I ended up taking another workshop on personal power for women. And I not only got transformed to feeling more powerful, I also lost 50 pounds and without dieting. And I went into the owner of the company and I said, I'm supposed to teach your workshop. Because I got so much out of it. And within 6 months, I was a trainer and teaching personal power to women and natural weight loss and so forth. And I ended up being there for 10 years and getting trained on the job on how to do counseling and teach seminars and write transformational seminars and all of that. And I was there for 10 years. And I thought I'd manifested this my way. So part of the story, that's part of the story, is to remind people you can have what you want when it comes deep from your heart and you feel assured that's what you're supposed to do, and that you can do it your way. So you just, and I wasn't able to figure out what my way was. I just kept going forward and looking for the next opportunity in front of me. Similar to being with Rebecca at the dancing place, looking for the next opportunity. And I was there 10 years and it was amazing. I had 13,000 clients over that period. And then the culture of that organization completely changed and I was no longer aligned with it. And so I left and I went to bed for 9 months. It was what they call the dark night of the soul. And I felt like I couldn't do it without a business structure of someone else's, working for someone else. I had no idea how I could do this, anything like that on my own. I never wanted to own a business. So when I was in bed for 9 months, I prayed every day and journaled every day. And I asked to be shown where I could put my gifts. And where can I make a contribution? And it was very painful. I didn't think I would ever see the light of day again. And then one day it happened and I had another experience of a vision coming to me that was incredible. And it showed me how the universe works at a very deep esoteric level. And I saw this tapestry of a picture that represented, it was beautiful, and it represented every thread in the tapestry represented a person. And it represented a person being on purpose and living their life's dream. And further, it represented that each person was sharing the gifts that had been given to them. And if everyone lived a life on purpose and shared the gifts they've been given, the tapestry would be complete and the world would be working for everyone. And I opened a notebook and wrote everything down, and I looked at it after I was done writing, and it was a 3-day workshop called Live Your Vision. And then I prayed some more, asking, now what do I do? I'd never owned a business, had no idea what to do. And what I heard was make a flyer and give it to everyone. So I did that and people started coming and I had to end up creating a business around me to hold it. So I didn't start a business because I wanted a business. I started a business so it could hold my gifts and talents. and I could do what I wanted. And it ended up becoming the Center for Conscious Living, which I had for 35 years, and teaching those workshops and supporting people and sharing their gifts and their purpose and finding the soulmate love of their life.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And I feel like for our viewers today and our listeners, you may be in all different places. I love your receiving that vision, those multiple visions, that insight as truth, and honoring that and just taking the next steps. And I think that takes a lot of courage. You're an implementer too. Like, I love that you just, take those steps. And I think that's a great example for all of us, that sometimes we try to figure out how, or we want to see the whole plan, or we want someone to give us the structure, and to just continue to take the steps. And you kept asking, seeking, receiving, taking the next step, and allowed it to be created in a way that you get to shine and be part of creating that tapestry for all of us.
Exactly. The two things I had was the vision of the completion,
Mm-hmm.
and then only what's the next step, and then go out in the world and find out what happens.
Mm.
So I really had to live it like an experiment,
Yeah.
and have a lot of faith, and it manifested around me.
Yeah, I love that. I was thinking, and that's that experimenting gene, Beverly, you're talking like that you get excited about experimenting. I see a connection there. I love that.
Yes.
But it takes courage too to, keep taking and exploring and seeing and trying and sharing. And there's a couple of things I would love for you to share with our viewers today, if I may. Do I have permission?
You certainly do.
Okay, perfect. Oh, there's a moment that you shared with your husband right before he passed that really became part of your mission.
Mhm.
Would you mind sharing that?
I would be glad to. And as you're even asking me, I got chills all over, and it comes back to me, in a moment's notice, so to speak. Yes, my husband and I had 2 kids and grandkids and so forth, and we're together for 40 years. And he seemed to be a really healthy person. Neither of us ever talked about what would happen if one of us passed or anything, never. And I was in my mid-50s at the time, and he had just turned 60. And we got up in the morning, and we passed each other in the hall, and he hugged me, but he held me. It was different. He held me, and he was going, when I retire soon, we're going to do more of this. We're going to take time and do more of this. And then he was still holding me, and he said, Kathleen, I don't know anyone that has the kind of love that we have. And you need to reach more people and teach more people about this kind of love. And then he still held me. And I mean, it was so inspiring and deeply touched my heart. And he went his way, I went mine. And 30 minutes later, he died of a heart attack. And that was the last thing he said to me. Yeah, and it was quite shocking. And I'm getting chills again, even thinking of that moment. And that was 20 years ago, actually.
Thank you for sharing that moment with us, and that honoring that message, and your commitment to continuing to bring that forward and bring a more love in the world. And there's another moment I love that you have shared about the jewelry box.
Oh,
do you mind?
I start crying.
Oh, are you okay sharing it?
Yes, I am okay sharing it.
Okay.
I was at work and my husband was at home, and I don't know, we were probably in our mid-30s or something. And I walked in the bedroom, and he had bought one of those jewelry boxes that stands up. It's a piece, it's wood and it has drawers. And he had bought it and put it all together. And he was, and he made special dividers in it. And he was sitting on the floor, separating all my earrings and putting the matches together and putting them by colors in the drawers. And I caught him before he was complete. And I just couldn't believe it. And he talked about how much he loved doing that, that looking at every earring was him having an experience of me when I was gone.
Yeah. And he was reliving all of those with each
Each of
pair.
that, reliving
Yeah.
experiences we'd had when I was dressed
Yeah.
different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so beautiful. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I just feel like it was such a special relationship and such special love that created those roots that and in your heart that you bring to the world and help people experience love, that kind of love for themselves.
Yes, exactly. And so much of my work has come out of my personal experiences, along with I teach a workshop on self-love, and that came out of my husband having cancer and him having, to make it really short, an enlightenment experience that instantaneously healed his cancer. He went in to have surgery and they couldn't find his cancer anymore.
Mhm.
And it was from this enlightenment experience that created a healing for him. And the way he described it was that he had a moment where he saw the face of God, and he never used the word God the whole time I was with him ever. And he said that he saw a vision of the planet in all its glory and healthy and humanity sharing love on the planet. And then he saw gray fog go over it. That was the illusion of the ego, and that it wasn't reality, but people were living it as if it was reality. And how he processed it was that God was an energy synonymous with creation and synonymous with love, and that that's who we are. And I ended up creating a workshop out of that
Yes.
experience that he shared with me. It
Beautiful.
was so amazing.
Thank you for sharing. And I know your workshops were so impactful for so many. I know they're from youth to adults, all different walks of life that you have touched and brought forward and continue to help people. And so, as we're reflecting on our conversation and some of the journey that you've shared with us, what comes to your heart to help people today spring forward as they're taking this in and kind of processing where they're being touched or reminded of things? How can they start to spring forward or continue that momentum?
Thank you for asking. Actually, a word that I think it was Beverly that used was the word experiment. One is imagine living your life as an experiment. And with an experiment, it's just about gathering data. And a scientist that does an experiment never says, oh, it's bad or wrong. They just look at the data and see what correction needs to be made. So I challenge my clients to live their daily life as an experiment. Therefore, trying anything and everything and making nothing wrong.
Mhm.
In an experiment, there are no mistakes. So I challenge all of you to live in that, even if it's for a week, and see what happens. See what happens for yourself. Have living in an experiment be your experiment. So that's one thing. Another couple of tools that I would offer you to do and take it more seriously, if you will, than they sound. They sound kind of like, oh, well, no big deal. And that's make a list of your gifts and talents and passions with no end in mind of what you're going to do, but really do it from a standpoint of re-inspiring yourself about who you are. I had one client that wanted to get a different job and she was not confident. And what I had her do, and I offer this to any of you, it was to make a resume that's a personal resume that you aren't going to show anyone, but make it like a resume where you're forced to brag about yourself and to list everything wonderful about yourself. And she came back the next week, and the things she shared about herself, and I'd known her for a long time, were just outrageous. She won the Miss Marilyn Monroe of Indiana. Was one of the things on the list, and I never knew that about her. It was really funny. So that seems to be a gift that helps people.
I love that.
And it's about owning who you are, owning the gifts you have that you don't acknowledge, and those you do acknowledge, and to bring them forward, that they were given you as a gift to share and express, because you're a thread in the tapestry.
Yes.
And if we're not doing what we've been given to do, we're off course, and that causes illness.
And the tapestry isn't complete. the way-
Exactly. It isn't
Yeah.
complete without you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Wonderful to have you here today. And
Thank you
for
so
the-
much.
absolutely, absolutely. My pleasure. And I'm like getting caught up on my Kathleen time. So I'm enjoying that too. That's right. And if there's a gift that you wanted to share today, I wanted to give you an opportunity to do that, and the best way for people to connect in and go deeper.
Sure, I would love that. So you can go to Kathleen Sims. So it's KATHLEEN, and Sims is SIMS.com. And there's two things that one thing is you can sign up for to be with me for 30 minutes as a gift to you, a consultation. That's one thing. And the second is go to KathleenSims.com/gift. And the gift I have for all of you today is an ebook and a recorded class on the process of finding your own life purpose.
Mm.
And in it, there's also a lot of high vibrational information about what to do with it, and how to own it, and how to align with it, and how to translate it into your life. So enjoy. And it's part of what came out of my own dark night of the soul transformational experience, was that process that you're going to get.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you again. I so appreciate it. And I want to give everyone an opportunity to just pause, breathe in, and integrate what serves. Perhaps add a couple more points or drawings, or however you capture information on your flower chart. Would love that. Those things that speak to you are for you. And just take a moment to receive. Great. Well, I'm sitting here enjoying the energy and the experience of being with all of our amazing panelists, with each of you connecting in. Those of you who will be watching the replay too, I feel like we can feel all of that energy coming together, that tapestry coming to life, the garden of life that we all get to contribute and to shine in and share. And I hope that you make a couple of steps that you're going to take. Maybe it's connecting with one of our experts today, going deeper, leaning into their generous gifts and opportunities to support you on the journey. When they're extending an opportunity to connect, again, they mean it. I told you that in the beginning. I'm telling you again that they mean it. So lean in where you feel that connection, you feel that resonance, you feel that pull at going to a deeper level, and really allowing them to come alongside. So create that space and that opening for that, allow that in. And then I had a couple of things I wanted to make you aware of that I think could also support you, because as we've been sharing several times in several different ways as we've talked, that you are an important part of how this garden comes together, of the tapestry that you are needed, your gifts, your talents, your uniqueness. So I want to encourage you to find ways to bring that forward. And we do have a way that could support you. For those of you who are looking to be a speaker, you're looking to get on more stages, you want to reach more people, you want to reach outside of your current circles of influence, we have a program called the Speaker Talent Search. And you can learn more at the speakertalentsearch.com. Many of our panelists are familiar with that. It may be how we even met, or they've participated on the panel, or in different ways. But the Speaker Talent Search is a way for us to learn more about you and help you get in front of people that have programs and shows and opportunities that they're looking to share your amazing talent on, if it's a fit and alignment. So it's no cost. It's part of our giving back to support speakers, because part of how we feel we can make the world a better place is helping you reach more people that need your message, that need your information, that need your gifts. So this is part of the way we do that. So we'd love for you to check out speakertalentsearch.com. There's a deadline coming up of March 31st for the next one. We do it a few times a year. So just if that calls to you. And we have an anthology project. You learned about anthologies earlier from our amazing Elle when we talked with her, that we are releasing on March 1st. So I wanted you to know about it, because it's called Step Into Your Brilliant Purpose. It's all about that. So if you thought, wow, that would be amazing to lean into learning from a group of experts that are coming together to help you step into your brilliant purpose, to step into that full alignment, I wanted you to mark March 1st on your calendar. That's when it'll be released, and it'll have a special rate of $1.99 for the first 24 hours. So you heard it here first. I don't want anyone saying they didn't know, they missed the window. So I want you to know you heard it here. Watch in social media. We'll send it to our list. So for anyone that can serve, we'd love for you to lean in and take advantage of it and be able to add that to your library. And we'd be honored if you felt led to share it out, because we really want to reach as many people as possible. So those are my couple of things that I wanted to make sure you knew about, opportunities for us to connect in and go deeper. And then I want you to really take a few moments at the end of our time together today and look at your notes. Really look at what you said in the beginning, what you felt in the beginning that you needed today, that you are willing to receive, and see if any of that has shifted and moved forward, or kind of look at your notes to see how some of that can move forward for you, because you are a gift. You are a needed, important part of life. And the biggest gift you can give the world is sharing more of you. So I want to encourage you, and I want to invite you to be willing to share more and more of you. So find some steps you can take. You don't have to have it all figured out. I think we've also heard that throughout today. And the joy of experimenting, like you get to explore, you get to experiment, you get to try things out and see what is more of you and less of everybody else. Really bringing that uniqueness of you forward is a gift and makes a powerful, positive difference. So I want to encourage you to be willing to take those steps, to step into your brilliance, be willing to spring forward, dig those roots deep, allow that support in. Remember to treat yourself like your best friend, with grace, love, and support. We can't wait to see each and every one of you shine. Take care, everybody, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.